And welcome back to Pure Nebraska. During the winter months, beef cattle producers are always working to keep their animals safe in the cold weather.
The same can be said for dairy cattle producers as they take many steps to ensure cows and calves are comfortable and safe.
Joining us now is Rod Johnson with Midwest Dairy, and it's good to see you this morning.
Well, thanks for having us in.
You bet.
The weather certainly fits the topic for today.
It sure does, yeah.
So, Rod, let's talk about how dairy producers take care of their cattle.
Well, a majority of the dairy animals in Nebraska are in buildings, which is a perfect environment for them. We can control the environment, so that way in the summertime they can stay cool, but now in the wintertime it's extremely important for them. One of our dairy farmers that you have featured in the past, Brett Beavers with Beavers Dairy, I spoke to him earlier, and his cows, his building, when it was 17 below a couple weeks ago, it never got below 42 degrees for his cows. So they didn't even know what the weather was outside. So that's one of the things that our dairy farmers really concentrate on, is taking care of their animals, as do all the livestock producers, regardless of what species. At this time of year, they put their animals first. They're out there making sure their animals are taken care of even before they worry about themselves. So it's hats off to our livestock producers in general.
Oh, yeah.
I remember my dad always going outside and checking the tank waters, because those would always freeze and you have to just watch everything.
Rod, we have some photos, I think, of some of what's going on out there with the dairy producers, and there are some cattle that are in barns or freestall barns. How does that affect them this time of the year?
Well, these freestall buildings are set up. A lot of those, like the one in the picture there, has curtains on the side. So in the summertime, they can open the curtains and let the air blow through. But in the wintertime, those curtains close down, and it just becomes a total confined building with some natural ventilation or fan ventilation in there. So they're still able to control the temperature. One of the big features there is to make sure that the water doesn't freeze and things like that. So we know that our animals are well taken care of. You've just put up a picture of some calves there. Most of the baby calves are kept in buildings, or when you drive around the country, you'll see some little huts that the baby calves are in. And those are always well bedded with sand or straw to make sure that the calves are nice and warm, and they can close down the door on there. So even a lot of the baby calves end up wearing coats. They'll put a blanket on the smallest ones.
Interesting.
Kind of like the picture you just had earlier on, where they were taking care of baby calves. That is a very critical thing.
Okay. Boy, Rod, thank you for just coming in today and braving the weather, for one, and number two, telling us how the dairy cattle producers brave the weather and help the animals this time of the year. So thank you.
You bet.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.